Hi, my name is Liz Lowe, and I'm a procurement expert working for the provincial government, British Columbia. And I'm here to talk to you about the two-page short-form request for proposals, the templates and tools that are available to help you with this process. Now, this video assumes that you already know that your contract is in scope and that you're familiar with the process. If this isn't the case, please see the other videos that are available in this series or refer to the SRFP Writer's Guide for more information. So let's talk about the resources that are available for the SRFP. We have a Ministry Writer's Guide. This is a document that takes you through the entire process, from determining whether or not your contract is in scope, to writing your documents, to managing your process, right down to contract finalization. Then there's the SRFP template, so the document that you will put together that within 2 pages describes what it is you want to buy. There's the SRFP proposal form, our Appendix A. This is the document that the ministry fills out to say what they want in proposals and that the vendors then complete as their proposal. We have a proponent's guide to the SRFP. This document helps the vendors understand how the SRFP process works and what it is they need to be thinking about in their proposals. We have an SRFP Addendum Template. So as the ministry person who is responsible for your SRFP, if you're answering questions that proponents have given you, or you have additional information to give on your SRFP, you would post that as an addendum for those opportunities on BC Bid, or send the addendum to your selected vendors if it's not on BC Bid. We also have an evaluation handbook template. So this document is intended to assist you with the documentation of the decisions that you make around who it is you're going to award your contract to. So these templates, these resources, we're going to step through each one of them and talk a little bit about what they are, what you can expect in them, and when you might need to use them. So let's talk about the SRFP Writer's Guide. This is the document that's been put together to help ministries in managing the SRFP process. So what is it that you can expect to see in this guide? It's actually a bit of a large document, but you can read as much or as little as you need to as you're going through your SRFP process. The Writer's Guide will include an introduction to the SRFP, and then it goes into some detail on scope so that you can decide, based on what's in that guide, whether or not your contract suits the SRFP. It has a section on writing the SRFP itself. This is a SMART form, so if you're not familiar with filling out SMART forms, the Writer's Guide will help you with that as well. Then has a section on the Appendix A, the proposal form. This is the document that the vendors are going to be filling out, but you need to include what it is you want vendors to respond to, what they should be talking about. Again, it's a SMART form. The guide will help you in understanding what it is you should be putting in there, and also includes some sample language that you might want to copy and paste if it suits your particular contract. Then there's a section on using the SRFP for qualified supplier lists. So if you have an opportunity that's not going to be posted to BC Bid, but is being just directed to qualified suppliers that you've created through a request for qualifications process, there's a section to explain what you need to think about for your SRFP. It's a little bit different from other types of SRFP opportunities. Then there's a section on your evaluation handbook, how it is that you develop that document. It is an Excel document, so how it works for you and how the documentation process will also work. There's a section on issuing and managing the SRFP, so how to post it on BC Bid or send it to your vendors, and how to manage things like questions and such that may occur while your SRFP is open. There's a section on closing procedures, so what you need to know when the SRFP closes. Again, it'll cover both for the e-bidding submissions that you may receive and for the hard copy submissions. There's a section on evaluations. What's the process that you need to know? How do you document it, etc. When you're done your evaluation process and you're ready to notify your proponents, there's a section to help you on that. What it is your letter should say, what the timing should be, etc. There's a section on how to finalize your contract. What are the do's and the don'ts? And when should you be bringing legal services into this? There's a section on debriefs. So unsuccessful vendors are likely going to be wanting to know why they weren't successful. So how do you manage those meetings? And be prepared even for successful proponents to want to debrief. There's also a section on documentation. What should your file include? What do you need to keep? And finally, there's a section on formal vendor complaints. So what happens when, despite your best efforts, a vendor thinks the process was unfair or flawed in some way? How do you manage that? So what does the SRFP template look like? Remember, this is a smart form, and if you're not used to smart forms, it might look a little bit different to you. So this is a picture of the SRFP template, a screenshot for you. Just shows you the very top of it. This document is intended for you to describe what it is you're looking for from the proposals that are coming in, what's going to be in your contract. It's filled out by the ministries describing what it is that you're planning on buying. And it also sets some parameters for vendors, things like whether or not subcontractors will be allowed in the form of contract that you intend to use. Now, keep in mind, this document must not exceed 2 pages. That's a critical piece of it. Then there's Appendix A, the SRFP proposal form. It's also a smart form. Now, as the ministry person filling out the SRFP, these 2 documents are going to be linked together initially. Now, the reason for that is that there are a lot of things in the SRFP that you'll be filling out that then auto-populates in the proposal form. So things like what the title of your SRFP is, what the number is, your closing date, those types of things. You only have to type in once and it's going to show up in both forms. Now for the SRFP writer, you might be a little bit disconcerted because now it looks like it's exceeding 2 pages. But remember, when you finalize all of these forms, they will be split. Your SRFP will be the 2-page document and the SRFP proposal form will likely be longer than that, and that's just fine. So in the Appendix A, the proposal form, you're describing what it is that you expect to see in the proposals. So it's providing guidance to proponents on what it is they should be including in their proposal forms. Okay? You need this information prior to posting. You cannot post the SRFP without the Appendix A. Keep in mind that completing an Appendix A is a mandatory requirement for proponents. If they don't have an Appendix A to complete, that means that none of your responses, your proposals to your SRFP are compliant and you can't award the contract to anybody. So you absolutely need to fill out this form and include it with your SRFP process. So the next resource we have available is the Proponent's Guide. This document has been written specifically for the vendors who are going to be responding to SRFPs. However, it's a really good idea that you're familiar with this guide if you're running your own SRFP process. It's always best to know what it is that the proponents know about what the process is going to look like. Knowing what they expect helps you to make sure that you meet those expectations. So have a read of that document. It's much shorter than the writer's guide. So the things that are going to be covered in the Proponent's Guide, again, there's going to be an introduction. So what is the SRFP all about? Now, the Proponent's Guide is not going to go into scope because, of course, that's a decision that the ministry is going to make. It is going to talk about the process, though, particularly how the terms and conditions or SRFP rules work. So that, again, we're letting vendors know in every way we possibly can what it is that they're agreeing to when they submit their proposal on an SRFP. It's also going to be talking about how to complete the Appendix A. Now this is again going to be a smart form, and in the smart form there will be the portions that you as the SRFP writer have completed, and the vendors can't change any of that. Then there are the spots that they need to complete, where they need to insert their information, which will be as you've set it up in your SRFP Appendix A. So they'll need to know how to complete that. Then it talks about how the proponent is to submit their proposal. So how does e-bidding work? How does hard copies work? So that's all explained for them in the Proponent's Guide. And then it has a final section on frequently asked questions that we are expecting vendors to have. So we also have an addendum template available for you. You don't have to use this template with your SRFP, but it has been designed specifically for this process. It is a Word document that includes instructions on how to fill it out, and you're going to be using this document to notify vendors of any changes that have happened to the original documents that you posted with your SRFP. Commonly, this is used to answer questions. It's a really bad idea to talk to your vendors over the phone about an open opportunity. It becomes very difficult to prove what you said, and it also means that somebody is getting information before other proponents are getting information. So you want to do this in writing, either as an addendum that's posted on BC Bid with your SRFP, or something that you send to selected vendors if you're not posting on BC Bid. So a document is very easy to complete. You put your question and your answer, And if there's something else going on, maybe there's something that has happened or information that you forgot to include, you can always use the addendum for that as well. You don't absolutely need to have questions in order to issue your addendum. Keep in mind, though, that when the addendum is issued, it now becomes part of your SRFP. So whatever you say in there has the same validity and the same force as your original documents would have. And finally, we have an evaluation handbook template available for you. This is an Excel spreadsheet that includes lots of information on how to evaluate your proposals. Now, you need to complete this document, whether you're using this template or a handbook of your own design, you need to complete it and finalize it prior to starting your evaluation process. So it's always best to target that this finalization be done prior to closing so that there's no delays in beginning your evaluation process. Best practice is to build this document prior to releasing your SRFP, but of course we all know time doesn't always allow us to do that. So when you build your evaluation handbook, you want it to match exactly to what you've said in your SRFP. Then this is used by your evaluation team to select who it is that's going to be successful. Now, the evaluation handbook includes instructions, and so does the writer's guide on how to use this document. If you're not familiar with Excel, it might look a little daunting at the beginning, but having been an evaluator myself on many projects, I find this to be the easiest way to evaluate in a fair and consistent manner and minimize the writing that all of our evaluators have to do. So if you're looking for additional resources, here's a few thoughts for you. You can visit the Corporate Supply Arrangement website to find out if there's a CSA that exists that's going to meet your needs. You can also look at various resources available for the short form RFP. There's more videos available, and we have templates, as well as a writer's guide and a proponent's guide. There's also the Procurement Services website that has a lot of information on other types of procurements that may be useful or applicable for your particular needs. And finally, we also have the Procurement Community of Practice, which is a community of people who are in the procurement and contract management field that share ideas and documents and lots of other information that you may find useful. Are you not sure where it is you can find all of these websites? Hang on one sec and we're going to give you those URLs.